Hey, Mr. Dan and Miller. My name's William Washburn. I'm part of your ENGR 1315/DO1 off-campus class, and this is going to be my week 2 um, double pulley system project, PowerPoint presentation thing. On this one, I'm just going to be talking about some of the changes I've made to my original plan, how I'm going to schedule myself for the next couple weeks, and then kind of my early blueprints and stuff and my sketches that I've got going. So my general plan right now is I'm switching sort of the tasks, since I'm going to move back material collection until I get a good solid blueprint and I get my good dimensions down. So that'll come after. My time frame is still going to be about the same, 6 to 7 weeks, but I'm just flipping those two now. So I'll be starting with blueprinting and dimensioning right now. So on construction and why that's going to take longer, I've heard some people already have some starting prototypes, early things. I don't have any tools with me here. All my stuff is back at my home in Dallas, which is 346 miles away. So I can't really do anything with that just yet. So I'm just going to start with basic materials I can buy here and blueprints and stuff. As well as some of the materials I'm using for this project are back home. So, that's that. So, I'm still gonna need some more time to think about this and to work on my preliminary, starting ideas, prototypes and stuff like that. And that'll come after week 3 and onwards. And then to actually make it look nice and good and to have an actually presentable prototype, I'm gonna need the proper tools. I don't have any with me. The most I have is this duct tape. That's about it. That's the best engineering tool I have with me right now. So yeah. And then, so my early sketches and ideas that I've got going for my double pulley system, I looked at 4 different types, that based them off pre-existing models other people had made. I want a design that's not too complicated, but not too boring either. Something I can do that looks interesting, and something people will actually like to look at, not something too boring, right? Because if it's too simple, there's not much to talk about, and it's not much to look at. But if it's too complicated, it might not work, and it might be, too much to think about and just take too long to make. So I narrowed it down to 2 out of the 4 things I looked at. I had 4, basic ideas for what I wanted to do, each with 2 pulleys, each with a rope, each with weights, and attached to something, right? So what I narrowed it down to was one with 2 anchored pulleys on the ceiling of my little, my system, right? With a weight on one end and a rope on the other. You pull the rope, you lift the weight with the 2 pulleys, right? That's the easiest one. Easiest to make. Not much can go wrong with that, right? Pretty simple design. So that was my first one. And then my second choice would be the a more complex design, number 3. If you see on the little bottom left over there, it's more complex, a little more interesting to follow. It looks a little cooler, but it looks like it might be a little bit harder to get working just right if I don't know what I'm doing with it. So, it looks better, it looks more interesting, but it might be harder to work with. So I narrowed it down to those 2. And then later on, once I have the materials and have a good idea for how this is going to come together, I can decide whether I want, choice number 2, choice number 3, right? So cost is going to be similar with choice number 3, as you saw earlier. It's not going to have 2 wall-mounted pulleys. It's going to have one that is holding the weight and one that's actually mounted on the ceiling, right? So I'm going to need a different pulley I'm going to need 1 wall-mounted one and 1 free pulley, right? So for one, it'd be 2 wall-mounted and one would be the other way. So it might not be the same price. It might be a little less, might be a little more, but it'll still be under the total cost, $50. So I think I'm still good in that department. I also found a good video of this teacher in some middle school. He's got his students and he's showing off a good double pulley system. And I feel like his explanation of how the system works and just the way he executes it for students is really cool. So I thought I'd link that for you here at the end. All right. Thank you very much.
Now let's take a look at a pulley system. I have a fixed pulley up here and a movable pulley here. Once again, when I pull down on this rope, the weight goes up, but I have to pull twice as far to get this to go up half the distance. But the advantage is I don't have to pull as hard. This has a mechanical advantage of 2, so I only have to pull half as much as what these weigh. In fact, I can demonstrate that by putting one weight on the rope that I pull down, and it balances.